They believe happiness comes from female validation. Schopenhauer saw through this illusion. The happiness which we receive from ourselves is greater than that which we obtain from our surroundings. The men who thrive aren't those who conquer women, but those who conquer themselves. They develop a purpose so consuming, so intrinsically rewarding, that female attention becomes a pleasant bonus rather than a life or death necessity. History's most remarkable men, the artists, the inventors, the warriors,
What up, y'all? This your boy Vegas Sub, aka I just told you who I am. We're gonna pick up this motherfucking money right now. You know what I'm saying? Got a little snaggity snack. Got some Wingstop in the oven. Let's go! I'm gonna move this so y'all hear every breath I take, every crunch I make. I'm gonna listen to my heart though. So I do have a timer going for the oven. Mixtape the album. Right now I'm about to upload some more of my music. Because we don't want to leave no money on the floor. None.
weren't distracted by the chase. They were too busy building empires. Here are the 3 pillars of unshakable masculinity. 1. Economic sovereignty. Schopenhauer warned that money is human happiness in the abstract, not for what it buys, but for the freedom it secures. The man who controls his finances controls his fate. 2. Philosophical depth. Most men live on autopilot. The exceptional man cultivates a mind sharp enough to cut through societal lies. He reads, debates, and thinks for himself. 3. Physical mastery. The body isn't just a tool for attraction, it's the vessel of your will. Weakness here breeds weakness everywhere. Here's where Schopenhauer's wisdom becomes revolutionary. The safest way of not being very miserable is not to expect to be very happy. This isn't pessimism, it's emotional armor. The modern man who stops begging for love, approval, or fairness suddenly finds these things come to him. Why? Because he's removed himself from the desperate masses. He's become the prize. The battle between men and women isn't personal. It's biological theater playing out across millennia. The man who wakes up to this stops blaming and starts evolving. He doesn't resent female nature. He adapts to it. He builds a life so compelling that women must either meet his standards or watch from the sidelines. Schopenhauer's ultimate lesson? We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people. The choice is yours. Continue chasing illusions, or step into your true power. The red pill isn't about hating women. It's about loving truth enough to rebuild yourself in its image. This is where you're
I don't have a thumbnail right now.
Indian forces have just hit a nuclear storage facility deep inside of Pakistan. May 10th could have genuinely been the day a nuclear war started. And yet, hardly anyone around the globe realizes how insanely close we just came to World War III.
Have some breaking news. Pakistan.
What are they waiting for? Is it because I know there's no point in return from nuclear warfare? What are we really waiting for? I don't mean we like me and you and cuz around the corner upstairs. But the world. You feel me? What are we really waiting for?
Pakistan's Prime Minister has accused India of igniting an inferno with the missiles it launched at his country overnight.
Relations between India and Pakistan, 2 nuclear powers, have long been tense.
Both countries have blamed each other for the violence since militants killed Indian tourists last month in Indian-administered Kashmir.
It's the worst confrontation between the 2 nuclear-armed neighbors in decades.
Shehbaz Sharif said India had made a grave mistake for which it will now have to pay the price.
Right now, nearly every major global power is panicking. America, Russia, China, the European Union, you name it. Everyone is losing sleep. This is exactly why the USA got involved to push for a ceasefire. According to reports, the USA received some troubling information where this war was heading. Now, they didn't disclose what this troubling information was, but we think we can all guess. But first, let's quickly rewind a bit, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. On April 22nd, Pakistani terrorists carried out a brutal attack on India. 15 days later, on May 7th, India retaliated with precise surgical strikes that utterly decimated major terrorist camps hidden deep inside Pakistani territory. India even let Pakistan know this strike was not on Pakistani civilians or military, but just on known terrorist camps. But Pakistan decided to retaliate and start a full-on war. Over the next 2 days, they launched over 500 drones and hundreds of missiles towards 36 Indian cities. Luckily, most of the threat was successfully intercepted, but the intent of Pakistan was clear, an undeniable act of war. So, late on May 9th, bleeding into the early hours of May 10th, India unleashed a retaliation of its own. In just 3 hours, Indian forces launched several missiles, a long-range Ramjet supersonic cruise missile, striking 11 military air bases across all 4 Pakistani provinces. Some of these targets were crucial ammunition depots, while bases like Sargodha and Bolari housed frontline F-16s and JF-17 fighter jets. In a single night, Pakistan lost roughly 20% of its air force infrastructure. In their official briefing afterwards, Indian officials emphasized these strikes were still measured, clearly warning Pakistan they were prepared to target more than half of the remaining infrastructure if tensions escalated further. Perhaps most alarming for Pakistan is the complete failure of its air defense network, built almost entirely from Chinese imports. Over the past decade alone, Pakistan has invested tens of billions of dollars into building a modernized military, with over 80% of its entire arsenal sourced directly from Beijing. This includes the advanced HQ-9 surface-to-air missiles, or SAM systems, costing roughly $300 million per battery. China markets these systems as equivalent to Russia's powerful S-300, capable of simultaneously tracking and engaging multiple aerial threats at ranges of up to 200 kilometers and altitudes reaching 27 kilometers. Pakistan also acquired multiple units of the sophisticated YLC-8B long-range surveillance radars, priced around $50 million each. China proudly claimed that these radars are capable of monitoring hundreds of airborne targets simultaneously, with a detection range exceeding 450 kilometers. However, in actual combat conditions, the radars detected absolutely nothing. Indian missiles and drones flew undetected and hit every single target. Beyond just these 2 systems, Pakistan's inventory includes several other Chinese-made defenses, like LY-80 missile batteries, FM-90 air defense systems, and cutting-edge surveillance drones. Still, none of them work like they're supposed to. Today, Pakistani forces are reduced to manually firing anti-aircraft guns randomly into the sky, hoping to strike down Indian drones. This is when Pakistan's nukes come into play. Now, this video is definitely not advertiser-friendly according to the YouTube algorithm, and this is why we need your help. YouTube has a habit of restricting videos that talk about war but talk pest, and that catastrophic failure was brutally exposed on May 10th, when India directly targeted the Nur Khan base in Rawalpindi. This base is literally the nerve center of Pakistan's Air Mobility Command. It's home to critical assets, including a significant portion of Pakistan's nuclear warhead stockpile, Saab Iriai airborne early warning aircraft, vital C-130 Hercules transporters, and strategic IL-78 aerial refueling tankers. Despite its supposed invincibility, Nur Khan base was hit directly by multiple precision-guided Indian missiles. Almost immediately, panic spread like wildfire through Pakistan's military ranks. Nobody knew exactly how deep the damage ran, or how many nuclear warheads, if any, had been compromised or destroyed. See, what most people don't realize is that India and Pakistan don't usually keep their nuclear warheads armed and ready to fire at all times. Instead, their nuclear warheads are stored separately. Warheads are kept away from missiles and delivery systems. If war actually breaks out, it takes some time to assemble these warheads, mount them onto missiles, and then deploy them. On the other hand, countries like the United States and Russia keep many of their nuclear weapons fully assembled, armed, and ready to launch immediately, literally at a moment's notice. But why does this matter? Well, because it explains exactly what India was up to when they hit Nur Khan base in the Karana Hills. India knew precisely where Pakistan kept its nuclear warheads, which in itself is a massive intelligence disaster for Pakistan. That single fact alone sent a terrifying message straight to Islamabad. Pakistan immediately panicked as they realized their ultimate backup plan, their nuclear arsenal, could literally go up in smoke at any moment. That's why they practically rushed to the United States, begging America to jump in immediately and force India into a ceasefire. Now, here's the funny part. Just 2 days earlier, J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, was live on Fox News, saying this whole India-Pakistan mess was, and I quote, fundamentally none of our business. Yet, suddenly, barely 48 hours later, America found itself right in the middle of one of the most dangerous nuclear standoffs in decades.
Stupid.
Also, the speed at which America went from completely hands-off to deeply involved feels strangely quick, almost suspiciously fast. Did Pakistan genuinely panic that badly and beg America to intervene? Or was there maybe some subtle blackmail hinting at a nuclear chaos if they didn't intervene? After all, desperation has a way of pushing nations into drastic, even reckless decisions. We'll break this down in just a moment, but first, did you know that this isn't the first time America has stepped in and narrowly prevented a nuclear war between India and Pakistan? Back in 1999, during the famous Kargil War, US President Bill Clinton intervened directly between India and Pakistan. And there's a very good reason why he did this. Just 1 year earlier, in 1998, both India and Pakistan shocked the world by publicly testing nuclear weapons, officially becoming nuclear powers. That changed.
Dun, dun,
Suddenly, the conflict between these
dun.
two neighbors could turn catastrophic. The Kargil conflict started when Pakistani soldiers secretly infiltrated high-altitude Indian territory in Kashmir. Initially, India thought they were
So basically, you punked your neighbor. You let your dog run wild, run into his house, bite his wife. I don't know. And then that motherfucker buys a gun. You see him walking in with the case. He looks at you through the window. And you scream, "They ain't stopped making them when they made yours," or some shit. So you know your neighbor got that thing, and your neighbor know you got that thing. Stupid.
were fighting a small-scale insurgency.
Just be
quickly
nice,
realized
bro.
the attackers were actually
Invite 'em to-
Pakistani military units.
invite 'em to the
Heavy fighting
cookout.
erupted, and the situation escalated quickly. Clinton immediately saw how dangerous this was. To stop this
Did you say
dangerous scenario,
Clinton?
Clinton personally stepped in and invited Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to Washington for emergency talks.
Yeah.
directly
Come on
pressuring
down, come on
Pakistan to
down,
withdraw
come on
its troops
down.
from Indian territory in Kargil. After intense negotiations, Sharif agreed. Pakistan ultimately pulled back its forces, effectively ending the Kargil War.
Is that the
Fast
same
forward to
chair
right now,
Zelensky
President
was
Donald
sitting
Trump
in?
is pretty much doing the same. Overnight, he quickly stepped in to broker yet another ceasefire between India and Pakistan. And in classic Trump style, before either country could even announce it themselves, he went ahead and publicly declared the ceasefire and branded himself the hero who stopped a war. But guess what?
Yay.
The ceasefire didn't even last more than 3 hours. Pakistan immediately violated it by launching intense shelling and sending hundreds of suicide drones straight into Indian territory. Now the problem is, during the ceasefire negotiations, India officials explicitly warned Pakistan if they fired even a single bullet, launched another drone, or made any provocation move at all, India's response would be swift, devastating, and unforgettable. And honestly,
We
by the time you're
got
watching this, India might have already
that
acted on that threat.
thing.
Face, trust me, you're gonna want to hit subscribe right now because another video is already on the way.
We got that
Now, coming back
fire.
to the whole blackmail part, let me start by saying that Pakistan is in absolutely no position to blackmail anyone right now, especially not the United States. Their economy is already crumbling. Their military infrastructure is
economy
getting
is
wiped out day
crumbling.
by day, and their global credibility is basically at zero. But they still have
Zero.
one bargaining chip, the one and only fear factor they have, which is the threat of nuclear warheads.
We
somehow
got
falling
them
into the
things
wrong
on us.
hands.
We got
Realistically, here's what could
that
happen.
fire.
Pakistan urgently reached out to the Trump administration, practically begging America to step in and stop India's attacks. They likely argued that if India continued striking their air bases and key military installations,
We're gonna have to
Pakistani armed forces
show
would soon
them
become completely
we
unable to
got
safeguard even their nuclear
that
stockpiles. In other words,
fire.
Pakistan probably warned that if things got any worse, if their own military was genuinely crippled, there was a terrifying risk that their nuclear weapons could fall directly into the hands of terrorist groups. Given that groups like the Taliban and the TTP have practically operated side by
Number
side
10?
in Pakistan for decades,
No, this
the
is
United
number
States took
11.
Pakistan's threat very seriously.
11.
Washington rapidly moved to coordinate urgent communication between India and
No.
Pakistan,
Oh,
trying to
see.
calm things down and secure an immediate ceasefire.
Next,
At this point, the public had no clue what was really going on. But right after the Indian airstrikes, Pakistani media reported
Yes.
that Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif had called for an emergency
No.
meeting of the National Command Authority, or the
OC.
NCA. This group is responsible for managing Pakistan's
Save and
nuclear
return.
arsenal. And that's when people started connecting the dots and realizing just how serious things had actually gotten. After the NCA meeting, Pakistan's Director of General
Got that
Military
mean
Operations,
comb over,
DGMO,
cuz.
quickly reached out to his Indian counterpart, urgently requesting an immediate ceasefire. Around the same time, senior American leaders, including Vice President J.D. Vance and Senator Marco Rubio, jumped
4
in too.
minutes.
They
3.5
personally
actually.
contacted high-ranking Indian officials and India's national security advisor, strongly urging restraint and pushing them to calm things down before everything spiraled totally out of control. And for anyone still doubting whether Pakistan's nuclear facilities were actually hit, here's something that'll put those doubts to rest. Early on May 11th, the American Department of Energy aircraft,
See
a
that
highly
B-2
specialized
bomber?
Beechcraft B-350, was spotted
Not
circling
that one.
repeatedly over Pakistan. Now, if you aren't familiar with this aircraft, it was specifically used by the U.S. Department
Spy
of Energy, the
plane.
DOE, which is the exact agency responsible for nuclear security, nuclear threats, and radioactive emergencies. So the fact that this aircraft appeared so quickly strongly suggests India's airstrikes either directly hit nuclear warheads, or at least damaged something critical enough to cause a radioactive leak. And if you're still not convinced, here's another piece of the evidence. Flight trackers soon spotted another strange aircraft, an Egyptian Air Force cargo plane suddenly
Is
flying
that-
straight into
oh,
Pakistan, directly from China.
shit.
Now, why on earth would an Egyptian military plane urgently rush into Pakistan immediately after India strikes? Well, rumors suggest that it was arranged at the urgent request of the United States. Turns out, Egypt has a massive reserve of a very special element called boron, specifically boron-10, in the Nile Delta region. Boron-10 is famous worldwide as one of the best materials to contain radioactive leaks or spills. India's decision to strike Pakistan's nuclear facility was a massive gamble. Some would even call it reckless. But at the same time, it might have actually been what prevented a much bigger disaster. Because after the strike, Pakistan was cornered and left with only two choices. Option 1, panic and fire off all remaining nukes, an act of desperate madness. Or option 2, step back, take a breath, and choose survival over suicide. Thankfully for everyone, Pakistan chose option 2. But what if they hadn't?
Survival
What
over
if Pakistan decided to
suicide.
retaliate with nuclear weapons? Well, we'd be looking at an absolute catastrophe. Not just for India and Pakistan, but literally for everyone on this planet. I'm talking you, me, your grandma, your kids, and their kids after
Your
that.
grandma,
Scientific
nigga.
studies repeatedly confirmed that even a relatively small nuclear exchange in South Asia would trigger global devastation almost immediately. Currently, both India and Pakistan have fewer than 200 nuclear warheads each. Compared to the thousands of warheads possessed by superpowers like the US or Russia, it might seem small, but it's more than enough to unleash absolute chaos worldwide. Within hours of the first nuclear explosions, massive firestorms would consume entire cities, ejecting millions of tons of smoke and soot deep into the atmosphere. Even conservative scientific studies show that between 50 million and 125 million people could die within the first few weeks alone. That's more human lives lost in just days than the entire toll from World War II. Cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad gone, reduced to ashes by massive firestorms and blasts.
Islamabad.
According to one frighteningly realistic simulation, a single 100-kiloton nuclear bomb exploding over a crowded urban area would instantly kill about 2 million people and severely injure another 1.5 million. Now multiply this devastation by dozens of strikes. And remember, this is just the initial impact. Scientists call it the prompt effects. Realistically, the fallout, raging fires, and the total collapse of infrastructure would mean even greater death tolls. Once those mushroom clouds start arising, that's when the global nightmares truly begin. The intense fires from burning cities would eject between 5 to 36 million tons of black carbon soot straight into Earth's upper atmosphere. To put that into perspective, remember those catastrophic oil fires in Kuwait during the 1991 Gulf War? Those only pumped about 0.1 million tons of soot into the air. Yet it still darkened skies and polluted air across the entire region. Or the infamous volcanic eruption at Mount Tambora in 1815. That eruption shot around 10 to 30 million tons of volcanic ash and debris into the atmosphere, leading to the so-called year without a summer in 1816. Temperatures plunged worldwide. Crops failed across Europe and North America. People froze and starved, and summer felt like winter everywhere. The only difference this time would be that the volcanic ash eventually washed out with the rain and the snow, gradually clearing the skies. But nuclear soot? It's different. It rises so high, so far above the clouds that there's simply no rain up there to wash it down. Instead, it remains stuck in the stratosphere for years or even decades, acting like a massive global umbrella blocking sunlight across the entire planet. Within 2 weeks, all of that smoke would completely blanket our planet. Within days, Earth's temperatures would plunge drastically, plunging us straight into what scientists call a nuclear winter.
Go get my chicken. You're. We buzzing. Buzz, 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 buzz. Hey, I'll be right back. I know I just got on, but I'll be right back.
Is there anyone out there who wants to go fast? Anybody?
I want to go fast.
Look like money, smell like dollars. Shawty look sexy, smell like Prada. Look like money, smell like dollars.
What up, YouTube? What up, WorldSoup.tv here, back for one more. That means another one. Anyways, this story is about dating. This one particular night, me and my boys are at GameWorks, walking around doing our usual stroll, checking females out, spending what little bit of money we did have on video games. My favorite used to be Street Fighter 3 and the big virtual tennis game they had. I forget what system that's on, but I used to like that game. Anyways, man, I remember I seen this one girl. She was looking kind of depressed and sad, like she just wasn't having a good night. Like she was just walking around with her face down a little bit. I was like, man, she cute as shit. She's hella light skinned, yada yada yada. I'm like, man, I need to holla at that. Only thing is, I didn't holla, but I had business cards from a job I worked at, so I was like, man, you got a pen? My homeboy was like, no, I don't. I surely didn't. But I remember going up to the counter, like, oh, you got a pen? You got a pen? He's like, yeah, sure. One of the workers gave me a pen, so. On the front of it, I went look on back, because the front of it just said my name, position, and then the information for the actual workplace. So I wrote look on back with an arrow next to my name, and we flip it over, it said call me and my phone number. I don't remember if it was the house phone number or a cell phone number. Most likely it was the house phone number. For sure it was the house phone number, but yeah. So anyways, after I wrote that, I was like, shit, where is she? We went up the escalator, because GameWorks was like in the basement of one of the floors. It's the old GameWorks, so if you come to Vegas, it's not the GameWorks that we have now. It's an older one that was on the strip, like literally next to the MGM showcase.
Got that protein,
Coca-Cola
bitch.
factory. It was right there.
Got that protein, bitch.
All right, let's go.
Global temperatures would drop by 2 to 5 degrees Celsius almost overnight. In the weeks after, growing seasons would shrink drastically or vanish entirely. Rain patterns would collapse. Harvests would fail. And agriculture worldwide would collapse. A peer-reviewed study in Nature Food in 2022 calculated that the nuclear winter
Here's
caused
my
by
reasons of
activity
why they're
within
probably
the
not doing it
Pakistan
then.
nuclear war could slash global food production so drastically that up to 2 billion people would starve to death in the years following. That's more than a quarter of humanity. Even countries completely untouched by bombs would face unprecedented famine and economic collapse. Look, we don't even have to guess at this point. We've already seen exactly how horrific nuclear war really is, through an example of Japan. On August 6th, 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb nicknamed Little Boy right on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. This
Little
single
Boy?
bomb had a devastating power equal to 15,000 tons of TNT, exploding simultaneously. In an instant, 70% of Hiroshima simply
Gone.
vanished. More than 80,000 people died instantly, vaporized by the blast. And by the end of 1945, that number climbed to over 140,000 people, who succumbed painfully to injuries, burns, and lethal
Think about all the
radiation.
bad bitches that
3
died,
days later,
bro.
the plutonium bomb Fat Man destroyed 6.7 square kilometers of Nagasaki and killed
Fat
about
Man
74,000 by year's end. Temperatures at ground zero soared to 4,000 degrees Celsius. Buildings literally melted, human flesh incinerated, and entire neighborhoods burst into flames. Even rain afterwards was poisonous. A deadly black radioactive rain that spread contamination everywhere it touched. In Nagasaki alone, around 74,000 people were dead by the end of the year, bringing the total immediate death toll from these two bombs to more than 210,000 innocent lives. The instantaneous destruction shattered all infrastructure in the target zones. In Hiroshima, nearly all doctors and nurses were either killed or severely injured themselves, leaving only 3 hospitals barely functioning out of the original 45. Most victims had horrific burns and trauma. Medical response was nearly impossible. No response capacity remained for several hours because first responders themselves were among the dead. And even those who
They were
entered
hurt,
the cities later to
dead,
help
you know.
often succumbed to radiation sickness. One witness from Nagasaki recalled seeing people fleeing like ants, their bodies burned and hair standing on end, and mass cremations took place in the days after. The sheer scale of destruction and casualties in these two bombings shocked the world's conscience. Hiroshima became the first city destroyed by an atomic bomb, and Nagasaki the second, and to date, the last. Yet the tragedy did not end with Japan's surrender. The effects of the bombings would persist for decades. The survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, known as the hibakusha, would face lifelong health struggles. Approximately 5 to 6 years after 1945, doctors observed a sharp rise in leukemia among survivors. About a decade later, other cancers, thyroid, breast, lung, started appearing at unusually high rates among survivors. The cancers took 10, 20, sometimes even 30 years to show up. The damage from the bomb's radiation was slow and relentless. It was like a poison that stayed hidden for decades,
Yeah, that
slowly
sucks.
destroying the DNA inside of survivors' bodies. Even pregnant women living near the blast site suffered miscarriages or gave birth to children with severe deformities, mental disabilities, and smaller than average heads. Even generations later, survivors and their families continue to live under the shadow of cancer risks and genetic mutations. The world has suddenly woken up to the fact that humans could now destroy themselves completely and quickly. In the decades after these bombings, we saw over 500 nuclear tests detonated above ground by various countries. Just to give you perspective, radioactive fallout from these tests started showing up everywhere, contaminating soil, rivers, oceans, and even ending up in children's teeth across the globe. By 1962 alone, there were a staggering 178 nuclear tests. The radioactive contamination was so horrifying that the entire world finally said, enough is enough, leading to the
Enough
partial nuclear test ban treaty
is
in
a
1963,
fucking enough.
banning above-ground nuclear explosions. The only plus point from Japan is that nuclear weapons have become a global taboo. Ever since 1945, not a single country has dared to cross that line again, because Hiroshima and Nagasaki showed humanity exactly what happens when someone does. Anyone who uses nukes again would be immediately condemned worldwide, becoming as hated as the Axis powers were. And nobody wanted to be the country that broke this dark taboo and risked nuclear retaliation in return. Even during the Korean War, Vietnam, the Soviet War in Afghanistan, or Indo-Pakistan conflicts, even the most aggressive leaders debated nuclear use, but always backed down. No leader, no matter how ruthless,
Shoot,
wanted to bear the
motherfucker, face,
responsibility of
3,000
breaking
by
that curse
3,000.
and becoming humanity's ultimate villain. For nearly 80 years, this fragile peace has held together mainly through a combination of moral restraint and a powerful fear of retaliation. But right now, the radicalism and instability coming out of Pakistan has reached a terrifying tipping point, leaving India, and frankly the entire world, on the razor's edge. And maybe that's exactly why India's recent precautionary strikes against Pakistan's nuclear facilities were absolutely necessary. Maybe these strikes have already saved us all from waking up to a horrific new reality. Look, no one can say for sure if this preventative action stopped a nuclear nightmare, but at least now, you and I both fully grasp just how high these stakes really are, and why this seemingly distant war, happening thousands of miles away, matters deeply to every single one of us watching. YouTube just dropped a mind-boggling announcement. It is paying creators $64 million per day. Oh, if you're someone interested in starting your own YouTube channel, you can sign up for this bootcamp by clicking on the link in the description.
Gotta watch this.
Number 607, UNC.
Unk.
It's on. Everybody, I'm locked in a firmament and I'm stuck in a simulation.
Name and address, please.
Oh yeah, my name. I'm from the Paroma. That's like in the heavens. It's like the same as heaven, but it's different. And I came to talk about Trump because I love Trump, and y'all disrespect Trump, and y'all don't know that y'all devils, and y'all come from the devils. Y'all fell from heaven. And y'all don't know that Trump is good. He black stuck in another body because the world is simulation and everything is reincarnated. Oh, sorry. Everything is reincarnated. And I got some papers I need y'all to sign because I'm trying to let everybody know that Michelle Obama is a man. Her name is Michael. And don't nobody know.
Did I hear this
right here, if y'all can
before?
help me sign this, we can kind of like get a gender reveal. Because she's a man. I mean, he's a man. It's kind of like a he, she. But it's different. But I need to get out the firmament. And I need to get to Antarctica. So I need you guys to help me get to Antarctica too. Right? Because y'all blocking me from Antarctica. And you doing it for sure because you know you feel from the heavens. And I can look at you and tell that you Natholion, you Lucifer. You Satan, you devil. Leave Trump alone. And Hillary Clinton's stupid. And Bill Clinton did inhale that weed. He said he didn't, but he did. I know he did, because who smoke weed and don't inhale? And that's all. Thank you guys for having me. I love you guys. America, make America great again. Put up the wall. And I love you. You love me.
Let's
Bring Barney back.
bring Barney back. You forgot your cup.
Our next speaker is Mr. Alex Stein.
Big booty Latinas.
What's up? What's going on, guys? Sorry, right now I'm debating some libtard about Donald Trump. Get your cup. What? All right, so, hey, Mayor. Thank you guys for having me. Everything's going good in Coppell.
Name and address,
Oh,
please.
my name's Alex Stein, 7509 Inwood Road. What you just saw,
What?
the first black man, I believe, to ever come to this council and ask for what he asked for. And I looked at your face, and some of you guys, I didn't know if I was at a city council meeting or a Klan rally. I mean, some of the way y'all looked at that African American, y'all looked at him as less than, and I don't think that's cool. I don't look at that man as less than. I look at him better than me, and that's why I feel like we should treat, people that are underprivileged like him. You see him? He's an ex-convict. He accidentally murdered somebody, vehicular manslaughter. And a lot of people, they want to say, oh, he murdered somebody, he's a bad person. Not me. I think we should look at a murderer and give them the same respect. If they paid their dues, they paid their, social justice, their crime to society, then they should be a free man. And I'll be honest, like, he has some serious issues. I caught him looking at some websites, not illegal websites, just weird websites of drawings of My Little Pony in a sexual manner, and I did not
Nigga,
know it was
what?
okay, and so I reported him to the police for that, and we're having issues with the police and law enforcement in Coppell not arresting him for that, because that My Little Pony brony stuff is not good. So with all that being said, right now,
My Little
we're in
Pony
Coppell,
Brony.
in the greatest city in America. You saw Coppell got rated the best city in America. Did you see this, Mayor? Yes, you did. For the people playing at home, Coppell did get rated the best city. Why? Because it's mainly white people that aren't going to rob you and aren't going to kill you.
Yeah.
Is that, is that a real statement? I don't know. I'll let you be the judge of that. But we look at our crime stats, you look at our demographics of the city, and I'll tell you what, it's safe as hell. So I'm happy that Coppell is a city where I don't have to worry about a
Who the fuck is this place?
Aruga gangbanger coming over here
Florida?
and trying to manipulate.
He said, I live at
me, do something to my
302
girlfriend or do
Inward
something to my
Inward Road.
ex-wife, Deborah. I don't have to worry about that at all
Crazy.
because Coppell is a safe city. And the only criticism I have is you guys could have treated Unc with a little more respect. He is a black guru. His son was murdered and he was sacrificed to the Illuminati. So he's a very powerful guy. He's connected to the rapper Nelly, I'm sure. And he does not like Kanye West, so don't worry. We're not going to get in trouble with that. No
Very powerful.
situation with Unc. He's very pro-Israel.
Associated with Nelly.
He's a black Hebrew Israelite. So with all that being said, I just want to say that Donald Trump is the greatest president.
Big booty Latinas.
Mayor, you, Mayor West, you're one of the nicest guys. Your bedside manner. And listen, you got a ragtag bunch. You got to deal with all these councilmen. I know Mike, the city manager, is always giving you hell, and you're sending these emails. You're like, Mike,
Fuck the city
I'm
councilor,
mayor.
Mike.
And he's like, I'm the city manager. You're the real boss.
You're the
You make
boss.
this city great. And that's
You're
why
the man.
Cowgirls and the Cowboys of Coppell are such great, fine young people. God bless this
All right,
city.
here's the
God bless
thing.
you. God bless Donald Trump. Thank you.
He didn't say big booty Latinas.
It's good. They're gonna unlock the tournament. Yeah. Listen, midget dancing is good. Midget porn is good. That's what I want. Yeah.
I haven't seen any good ones. That was kind of lame though. He didn't say big booty Latinas. Not once. I don't want to watch that. But I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it.
Cassie, I get what's her name? Ventura?
Yeah.
Cassie Ventura.
I didn't know that was her last
has
name.
been in the news, in my opinion, way too much. All right? Way.
Didn't she get paid?
I have seen more Cassie in my algorithm.
That seems like a conflict of interest.
Using Diddy, of being Diddy, more than I've heard her albums. You know,
Shut up.
Her testimony.
Shut up, nigga. Let's go see what albums Cassie got out. We're going on Spotify right here. No, fuck that. We're gonna Google it. We're gonna Google that shit. I think we've all heard this one, and that one only. Oh, mixtapes? Come on, Cassie. Oh, she only has one album. You know, guest appearance? No, nigga, album. She got one album. Anybody looking for this shit? That's from her album. Step Up to the Streets. Non-album singles. So he was just testing the water, trying to get some Bad Boys 20th anniversary. Pink Friday. Oh, with Nicki Minaj. Never Love and Lose It. That was a single. So they put that out and then didn't do nothing with it. As a featured artist. Of course with Ryan Leslie. She was with that nigga. He put him on her album. On his albums. Where's the Love? That's part of the world. You were just in the crowd in the background. Eden Prince. I don't know. Promotional singles. Crack on Steroids. Nori. That is an ugly ass blunt, Nori. So you get placements, but you ain't had no album. So what other artists can do that? What other artists can do that? None.
Yesterday, and I talked about this with my friends on Afterwards. After her testimony yesterday, I had to delete the Cassie albums. The Me and You, the Ryan Les collaboration.
Or less.
Man, this chick is for the streets. Absolutely for the streets. She said she got urine breath. Okay, well,
what?
Let's go ahead and bring the people up to speed on what's going on with Cassie Ventura. And I'm gonna break it down from my lens.
Urine breath? I can guess what that means, but at first, just hearing it, I'm like, what? You letting niggas pee in your mouth, Cassie?
Of what I believe is really going on. I can give you all the unedited.
Your parents never told you how to say no.
And then we're gonna go from there. But let me give you all the summary of her testimony. She was a star witness of the testimony yesterday. Let's get to it.
A witness on the stand. Let's go to Aaron Katursky. He was inside the courtroom for all of it, and he joins me now from Lower Manhattan. Aaron, this was the first time that Cassie Ventura and her ex, Sean Combs, have seen each other since 2018.
You had the picture of that nigga doing this in the court.
When she walked into the room, Sean Combs appeared to look at her, but she, Eva, did not seem to look at
Did he
him.
lick his lip
During
thumb?
her testimony, I'm not sure she really made eye contact with Sean Combs. She
He like the freaky version of LL Cool J.
Seated in the courtroom, she had other members of her family, her attorney there in support, but she recounted such graphic detail, too graphic for us to discuss here now, in such soft-spoken, matter-of-fact tones, describing degrading sexual activity that she said Sean Combs forced her into, starting when she was 22 years old, and as she called herself, naive, too naive, she said, to really understand what was going on or understand the power dynamics in the relationship. Because she said, if it turned him on, that's what they did. Her preference is...
Nah, fam. These bitches, this nigga Puffy been talking about hitting a B for years. We knew he had 500 million with Sean John. Nah, you wasn't naive. You was slutting it for the paycheck.
Weren't
I bet Anton said some shit like that.
She said she was passed around and
You know what you was
objectified
doing.
by men, and with other men she didn't want to be having sex
Got
with.
in, couldn't
on
get
Sean
out.
Combs' whim, describing how he wanted to set up recording equipment to record these freak-offs. She said it made me feel insane. She said it was humiliating and disgusting.
You kept doing it. Hey, hold on.
All right.
She got 3 kids or something like that. Imagine how her husband feel. I saw that on Twitter. It's like her husband right now. You nasty bitch. And then somebody say he probably been begging for anal for 3 years. You nasty bitch.
A lot to unpack here, guys. The first thing that I want to unpack is...
Bitch, you nasty.
Can the guys in the chat listen to what I say before you respond?
I was about to
Make sure you get a
respond.
little bit
I can't
overzealous
respond.
And jump off the bridge. I only want to find the guys in the chat that I'm identifying. So the guys in the chat that feel comfortable sitting in the courtroom being a supportive husband to a woman that has been passed around in the industry and feel like you're doing the right thing and you're a real man of it. Please speak up. Please speak up. For the guys in the chat that love to pick up, that likes to eat after everybody else, that likes to
Oh
do
my
leftovers,
God.
2 week
No,
old
he
leftovers.
didn't.
Would you please speak up right now? Because
I like
we
leftovers,
spoke
but
a
not
lot
like
about
that.
how it's difficult, or man, I
It's
couldn't
my
imagine
fridge.
that the kids
I've
were being
cleaned
there
it since
listening to
moving
this
in.
as far as Diddy's children. What about the man that was like, you know what?
My
I love
wife.
you. I appreciate. Nah, he really on the I Choose You 2 tour.
I kiss you in the
Think
mouth,
about that
bitch.
for a minute. So you sitting there listening to a woman that said that she got peed on, peed in her mouth, all of this
Dirt
stuff,
breath.
all of these graphic details, and you be like, you know what? I love you through it. What would
I got you,
compel a
babe.
person? Because that can't be from anything but God. Maybe it's from something else. I've never seen a
The
love like
devil.
this. I can't imagine being in love like that. I'm not built for such things. Could
I'm
you
not
imagine?
built like
You
that.
got her pregnant. She's sitting on the stand,
Pregnant.
and you're putting babies in this woman who everybody's put babies in already, and for whatever reason, she just never got pregnant.
On,
I'm sure they had
around.
some form of contraception. But this is crazy.
Crazy work.
This is the craziest case that I've heard of, seen in a long
This
time.
stream could be sponsored by Cholula.
Number 2,
That's nasty.
do you guys think that we should trust her just because she got a soft voice and she's soft-spoken?
Fuck no.
She told us that as a 22-year-old woman, which
She's
means that
naive.
is the age that most women graduate from college and get a job. They've been out the house for an extended period of time. She's already had multiple boyfriends, including Ryan Leslie, that at 22 years old, she was too naive at the power dynamics
Nope.
and what was expected in a relationship with a person like a Diddy.
She wouldn't do that with a broke nigga. She wouldn't do that with a brokey.
Nobody is saying that the relationship wasn't toxic. Nobody, and I mean nobody. I would
But
never
he had
argue with you if you said
money.
that Diddy was demonic and the behavior and that his Diddy tactics or whatever it is, as far as his demonic ways and his overly sexual preferences and him being gay, you'll never get an argument with me in any capacity. The only thing that I could think of as I was reading through the testimony of several people that recounted what she said inside of the courtroom was he never should have paid her the money. He never should have paid her a dollar, a dime. You're going to have to get it out of me in a civil suit. You're going to have to get it out of the company to hold it.
shouldn't have.
Listen, unless he should have never, ever paid her a dime.
That's what I'm saying. Ain't it like a conflict of interest? You paid her off. Now she in there with the tell-all book and shit. It's under oath. What's the point? What was the money for? I don't know.
Not one dime,
But no.
not a dollar. This just confirms to me of what I say. You fight it until you broke. You spend every dollar on lawyers and you fight it forever. You don't pay a dime. A dime. Not one. You paid her and she still testified. The company's
Word.
paid her and she still testified.
Word.
I personally believe that this is one of the most demonic and deceitful people that we've ever witnessed in our entire life. And I'm not even talking
Wow.
about Diddy. I'm talking about Cassie.
Yeah,
that's the
that's
uncomfortable
crazy.
part,
That's
because
crazy work.
I believe that Cassie is one of the most conniving, evil, deceitful, ugly people that we have ever witnessed in our entire life. And I'm not
gonna say
sit here
just
and
she's a
pretend
woman, but
like,
she
"Oh my
light-skinned."
God, we shouldn't victim shame. No, she was bonding to his clout. She was the person.
You know how them
the idea-
light-skinned
she was
baddies
the
be.
villain that got out just in time before the
Trouble.
feds came knocking, and she was the villain. She's the bank robber that lied on the floor and acted like she was with the rest of the people.
One of the bankers or some shit.
She benefited. She enjoyed it. I believe, this is my personal belief and opinion, I believe she benefited from it. She had multiple homes, properties. She enjoyed it. She enjoyed the courtside seats, the lavish lifestyle, the parties, the flights, the taking care of, and she never even really had to drop no music. Never dropped no music. And then at the end of it all, she said, you know what? I want out. She got out. She went broke.
Now she back.
Her and her, because her boyfriend I ain't never heard of nothing that he providing. What is the trainer doing to provide? Went broke, came back and said, you know what? New York Survivors Act, let's get this money. Let's get this moolah, baby. She came back
You ain't have
and
to
was
say it like
probably
that.
like, yo, I need 30 M's. And he like, man, she not about to keep on trying to finesse me and fleece me. She out of the lifestyle. She out. She out. Go ask your husband for it. And she said, nah, if you don't give it to me, I'm going to probably drop this lawsuit. And now she's considered a star witness only in America. Only in the United States of America can you participate in what you're alleging somebody else to be doing as criminal activity, get rich off of it, and then testify as a result of it and benefit and be considered the victim.
Nope.
And be considered the victim. She's Ellen from Troy. What was the girl that wound up getting all of the war and you know, everybody died. Achilles died, Hector.
Starting
you know what I'm
shit,
saying?
got her
Hector
husband and
died.
son dead,
Everybody
killed.
died. from the
Just to
woman
be
that went
queen?
over in somebody else's bed. Whole wars was started over her. I honestly, in my heart, believe that she was a participant, that she was his right hand,
I'm trying to compare it to that lady that was helping Epstein.
and that she enjoyed it. 100%. 100% I believe that. I'm not going for a tier. I believe that they were both toxic. They was the previous story, except for they had money and they had power. She was beating on him, he was beating on her. I believe that they were toxic together. Miss me with the CNN footage. Once
Miss me with the
CNN
bullshit.
footage come in, oh man, that dude's crazy. He a monster. I guarantee you, I promise you, she was probably just as destructive, just as participatory, and just as toxic as him. They was a match made in heaven. That's why he was so heartbroken about her when she decided to go with the train. You're never going to convince me anything other than that. I'm not believing.
Aaron, Cassie shared that she didn't have a whole lot of sexual experience before she met Diddy. She was only 19 when she met them. There's a nearly 2 decades age difference between these two. Talk more about that power dynamic and how their relationship changed over time.
The fuck you
she was
talking
19
about?
and a young singer, and Combs signed her to a 10-album deal with Bad Boy Records.
She
so
still got 9 to go.
Otherwise, the Freakoffs took up so much of her time that it stifled her music career. But
She just ain't had no talent.
it controlled her.
9
financially, she
albums
said. So
left.
she felt like her livelihood, her career, her life really depended on Sean Combs and keeping him happy. Otherwise, she said she feared what might happen. Now, interestingly, she talked a lot.
Should've been in the studio,
about
bitch.
not wanting him to break up with her. Now, whether that was because she thought he might get violent or because she would lose some of the life that she had acquired, she didn't really say. But
Listen to what we're saying right now.
Uh-huh.
She didn't want him to break up with her. She didn't want
Don't
him to break
leave.
up with her. Hey, imagine
Do
being a
whatever you
man.
want.
That's her baby daddy now, her husband, and her saying, "I really didn't want him to break up with me." That would just break my heart. Oh, she really loved this man. She really slept with her face in between his butt, and now I'm kissing her. She really slept with her face in between his butt cheeks at night with baby oil on her nose. Ugh, ugh.
The Pusha T.
Somebody really
ugh.
put out their Johnson and just squatted over her face and just peed in her mouth, and that was just the end of it. Ugh. 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 And then she said that
I'm
she
gonna go
didn't
wash
want
my
him to
hands,
break
yo.
up with her. Man, free Diddy, bro. Free Diddy. Free Diddy, man. Diddy may be guilty of a lot of things, but he's not guilty in my opinion. It's nothing that's been presented as evidence. People's testimony, how they feel about him, whether or not they're trying to finesse him and get some money out of it. No. I'm standing on what I stood on from the very beginning of this thing, and I'm gonna say it again. Free Diddy. Am I the only content creator with a decent amount of following that's willing to say it out loud? Or is everybody going to be politically correct? Am I the only person that got the balls to say it out loud based off of the evidence that has been presented? Or is everybody just going to be silent about it and act like they don't know what's going on? I don't believe in my heart that Diddy is guilty of the thing that they are trying to charge him with. I don't believe it. I believe that everybody that participated was consensual and they participated on their own free will and that they truly wanted to be a part of the Diddlers parties. Everybody knew about it. Everybody still wanted to go. Nobody was complaining about it.
But we know that the defense is expected to argue that, sure, Sean Combs and Cassie had a toxic, violent relationship, but the defense has called her a strong
Man said
adult
free
woman
Diddy.
who made a voluntary choice.
Aaron, you were in that courtroom. These details were a lot. What was the jury's reaction hearing her testimony?
It's really hard to read the jury. Most of them are pretty stone-faced. There was one woman who did seem to be following along. She would occasionally smirk at the mention of baby oil or lubricant, which was used
Me
to
too,
facilitate
nigga.
that, as Ventura described it, the hotel rooms where these freak-offs occurred were left in complete disarray. There was candle wax and oil everywhere. But most of the jurors sat
That's
stone-faced,
nice.
listening to what amounts to
Okay.
a humiliating recollection of a decade's worth of a woman's sex life.
Aaron, what can we expect to see in court tomorrow?
More of the
Baby
same.
oil.
Cassie Ventura ended her testimony today, taking jurors to a moment they've already seen video of what happened in the Los Angeles hotel in March of 2016. The jury had already seen the video, but they saw it again with Cassie narrating and saying, "That's me," pointing to herself on video and telling the
already
jury
knew
this
that.
was the first and only time she tried to escape a freak-off before Sean Combs declared it over. She said she got hit by Combs, she had a
It's
black
not
eye,
over.
and she wanted to leave, but when she tried
It
to
ain't
let the
over
jurors on
yet.
video, he dragged her back.
Did they
She
ask her what happened
fully
leading up
dressed.
to that situation in the first place? And again, I'm never going to
It's not over.
for somebody to put their hands on anybody. I've heard me say it a thousand
The
times.
freak off ain't
On this show and
over.
other platforms. Keep your hands to yourself. But I also believe that she was complicit and participatory in being
And the
toxic,
freak off
assaultive,
wasn't
abusing, putting
over.
her hands on him, And also, I believe that she was complicit in as an adult, agreeing to and providing extra services to the whole freak-off situation. More importantly, I haven't heard anything, not one thing whatsoever, that would lead me to believe that there's racketeering and trafficking. I don't believe it. I don't hear anything.
Because that's what this
two things can be true. Somebody
lawsuit
could be ugly,
about.
Somebody could be demonic, but we all need the burden of proof to rest on the state and the feds and the court of law in order for somebody to be convicted as guilty. And I don't see anything that would lead me to believe that.
This isn't about the free calls. It's about the racketeering and sex trafficking.
Hey, it's Christine Grace and welcome back to my channel. Today's another reaction video. Like the video on your way in, let's get straight into it.
Me and my ex-husband broke up and then I got lonely, met a guy, and I think things moved really fast. I don't know, I thought it was fate. Clearly it wasn't. It didn't work out. He broke up with me. He was done. Dating is just hard, you guys. It's like hard to imagine finding someone. It's hard to imagine there's a world where there's like someone who's actually
Isn't that
for
Bobby
you.
Millie
Hopefully
bitch?
I find someone like
So many things to say, so many things to say. First of all, like, you know, just
Nah, she did,
casually,
black dude.
me and my husband broke up and got divorced. Like, that's a red flag. What do you mean you just broke up? Like, it's a marriage. What do you mean? Second of all, like, if you can't imagine a world where there's someone for you, there's not going to be. If you can't imagine it, you can't see it, never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Your reality is a reflection of yourself.
I like tear up every time I say that because I don't believe I'm going to.
I would give the pain a 10. A
What
lot of
is
people
her?
do tell you it's not that bad and things like that, but me personally, it hurt it really bad.
You missed your daughter's first birthday?
To be here.
Dark.
How do you miss your daughter's first birthday? First birthday to sit in bed with Drake. Wow.
Yeah.
Horrible parenting.
Yep.
Where's your son?
Somewhere safe, and it's not his birthday.
Oh, what a terrible woman. Convincing myself to leave my 12-year marriage so I can finally be happy. Why do people think everything in life is about happiness? There would be no happiness if you just constantly experienced happiness, because you'd have no perception of what happiness means and what it
Be numb
truly
to it.
is if it's all you see. In the same way, you don't understand what nighttime is. You can't appreciate the stars if it's constantly daytime. You can't see the stars because it's day. The sun has to go away for you to appreciate the stars. In the same way, the stars have to go away and the moon has to go away for you to appreciate the sun.
All right, I need to watch this.
There is a bill being proposed that would ban corn in the United States, and this is dangerous for women. Now, bear with me because I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive. I think a lot of people believe that banning corn might actually be a good thing. It's doing a lot of detriment to young people and really warping their minds and their
I shouldn't be
concepts of
streaming
consent
all this
and
shit
normal,
right now,
healthy
y'all.
sexuality. First of all, a lot of women are going to be out of work, and they are going to be the women who are some of the most vulnerable people in society. So we're not just talking about people who literally exchange sex acts for money, as you might be thinking. We're talking about strippers. We're talking about cam girls. Like so many other things this administration has done and continues to do, this is ultimately going to be about controlling women.
Let's hold on for a second. Let's stop here, right? Imagine that we live in a world where somebody is trying to justify one of the most deplorable things and saying that the reason that the administration is trying to ban it is just so they can control women in their bodies. What do you think happens inside of these strip clubs? What do you think that happens after the club closes? I'll do you one better. What do you think happens after everybody goes home and they see a person that they don't necessarily care for and they want to set him up? Imagine a den of sin, right? Honestly, like if you just really want to break it down. Like imagine a den of sin. How do you think that the majority of these women make their money? You think that everything is just cut and dry and is regulated and everything is taken care of and it's on top of things?
Dennis.
This is insane, bro. Let me hear some more what you got to say.
Because watch how quickly, if this passes, they're going to start changing the definition of what porn is. First, it's going to be, you know, graphic sexual images of sexual acts taking place. And then it's going to be women being topless on any social media. And then it's going to turn into shirts that are see-through
Women being topless on any social media? I thought that was already a no-go.
that women are wearing. And then it's going to turn into skirts that are too short. And do you see where I'm going with this?
Bitch, we had that shit already. You ain't go to school with a dress code?
They don't want us to be able to exercise any sort of freedom when it comes to what parts of our bodies we show and to whom. So right now, maybe it's like,
You do that in the privacy of your own home. What are you talking about?
okay, well, they're trying to ban this thing that could be really harming the children. But eventually, your backless dress that you posted a picture of yourself wearing on Instagram is...
Women will die on the hill of my body, my choice. I need to be able to show off my ass. I got to do the thing that's the worst for society. They will let everything go. They will sacrifice their children. They will sacrifice the sanctity of their marriage. They will sacrifice their salvation. They will sacrifice men. They will sacrifice everything that they can find in the world just to be able to show off their body to people that they know is going to do the worst thing to them if they get their hands on them in the first place. It is deplorable. It's despicable. It's just, what happened? What happened to the women in society today? I'm just so taken aback by the idea that you guys are willing to die on this hill to put your ass out there in the street, that you are sitting there saying, hey, wait a minute, we need to be against this bill that allows for us to show the best parts of ourselves that's supposed to be reserved for our husbands, and embarrassing ourselves in the face of our children and making us look bad before God, and saying that we need to be able to do this. No.
She don't even need to be saying that. Ain't nobody trying to see this shit.
Society, and they know that we've been so distracted and we're so distraught, and men have an exceptional amount of or inability to really be able to pay attention because everything is sexualized and nowhere that you can turn. I mean, to make it a much harder barrier to entry for people to be able to look for it or to be distracted by things that's not best for them. And I ain't even just talking about men. I mean, kids, young people. For the longest, for decades, it has been so easy for somebody to just get on the internet, get on a browser, get on their phone now. You can take it with you. I mean, I remember when I was coming up, you had to do the walk of shame. You had to do the walk of shame. You know what the walk of shame is?
You got to go get that video.
Or
the Playboy with the black
video stores. No, not just the Blockbusters, the local ones. Blockbuster came and they put the bigger or the smaller video stores out of business. Blockbuster to video stores was Walmart to the mom and pop grocery store, the mom and pop butcher shop, and the mom and pop bread pastry store. That's what it was, okay? That's what Blockbuster was. Netflix is like Amazon on steroids, right? Delivery everywhere, Prime, all of that is nothing that you can't have access to. But think about it more or less from the video store's perspective, right? If you wanted to go to the nudie store, guess what you had to do? You had to do the walk of shame because they had all of the regular videos. Most of the regular videos also had this.
You had to go back behind the wall.
That also had all of the nasty videos. It was in the XXX room, right? And so you would just browse and, you couldn't get in there if you was under a certain age. And so once you became of a certain age, let's say
we was under the age.
Whatever. I don't remember if it was 21, 18. I think it was 18. 18 years old, right? And then you would look over and you would see the guy. And he wasn't really that confident, so he made sure he wore extra clothing, always had a hat on, maybe a couple little sunglasses, and then he would just slip on right into the nudie store. And then when you went into the nudie room. When you went into the
nudie room,
everybody tried to avoid eye contact. It was the quietest room inside of the store because nobody
nigga, you about to beat your meat.
Know that the other person is, everybody know that everybody is there with them. And if you really wanted to seem like, it's not really that big deal, then you usually had your girl with you. You know what I'm saying? You had your little thing, and then you just like, pick what you want or whatever, not a big deal. And she fronting, she trying to act like, what is this one? Oh, maybe we could try this one. This one seemed a little safe. And she acting like she don't know what the hell is going on. And so it was a game. You know what I'm saying? It was a big game that was being played because there was shame. That's really what it comes back down to. There was shame associated with all of the different things that happened, and it kept things in check because people knew that they couldn't get away with doing certain things, and if they did, then society would be on their ass. Law enforcement on their ass. Like, you couldn't just get arrested for doing something that you wasn't supposed to do and then end up on the naughty list. The naughty list now, because again, back in the 90s, 80s babies, 90s maybe, they didn't have the offenders list. You know what I'm saying? But now, as of the recording of this video, everything is rapid. I mean, we're glorifying women that get bust down by 1,000 guys all at the same time. And it's almost like the fetishes is getting worse and they get more ridiculous and crazy. And now that we have legislators that is trying to restore order and say, you know what, maybe
they want to fight against it
just a little bit too much. I mean, if you're gonna do what you're gonna do, cool, but we're not gonna make it cool to do it. We now have to control it because we don't want our children to be influenced by things that's going on in society. And I'm sure that there's other reasons associated with it, but that's the way I interpret the laws, and I don't see anything wrong with it. If you want to do something, then you got to jump over the barrier to entry, and we're not gonna make it so easily accessible to children. It's very much that simple, right? But now, as usual, something that I never thought that women would actually try to defend against, they are now against these laws that prevent people from being able to be easily accessible to the worst things. And I'm telling you that I think that that's one of many reasons why, you have so much ED, you have, erectile dysfunction, you have so much desensitivity because people are overly freaked out. We watching the Diddy trial right now, and they just went all the way across the board. But, women, leave it up to women to defend the most immoral thing. This is one of the reasons why we don't need these type of leaders inside of society.
Black fatigue. It's all over my FYP page. Thank you. I am so happy that this is being brought up. And oh, by the way, for us white people that have been around the block a long time, this isn't new to us. We've been dealing with this for over 40 years. Here's my story. This is about 2015. I'm at Put-in-Bay. Put-in-Bay's on South Bass Island in Lake Erie. There's a bunch of bars out there. It's a great place for adults to go play. Think of Pat Daly, Mad Dog Adams. If you don't know those guys, think of Jimmy Buffett. I'm sitting on a bench on Delaware waiting for my wife, who's in a shop shopping. And at the time, the traffic is two ways.
I hope she's at the shop shopping.
Is no longer two ways. It's a Saturday afternoon. The island is packed. The traffic is bumper to bumper. These two guys going in opposite directions decide to stop and have a chat. Not for a couple seconds, not for a couple minutes, but I think it was around 10 minutes before people started threatening. But around the 5-minute mark, I'm just sitting there with my arms folded, just shaking my head. And I hear this voice. This is what's holding us back. This is why we're hated.
Probably from a black.
And I turned around to see who had said it, and it was a black couple about my age.
Yep.
And then he looked directly at me and said, 30 years ago, I'd go down there, grab those idiots by their dreadlocks, and teach them a lesson in fun.
And guess what? Today, the YNs, they don't play no games. They will probably beat the crap out of you and then justify it and say that you was in their business and that you had no reason to be over there trying to have a conversation with them in the first place, even though they were stopping traffic for well over 10 minutes. But this right here just proves that we're not all the same. And just because there's a demographic of us that embarrass us does not mean that black people have black fatigue the same way that white people have black fatigue.
And I looked at him and went, 30 years ago, I'd have been right there with you. I have hated this type of behavior my
I can't stop looking at this white man's teeth.
entire life. I've never gotten it. How self-centered do you have to be to have no respect for any other human being? It's all about you. These are the people I've spent my life avoiding. But I had never thought about it from the black community side. And I gotta say, it sucks a lot more for you guys than it does for us white people.
We gotta be
because you're associated with it.
Yep.
Because everybody looks at us like we doing it too.
Stereotypes can be true, and often at times they do come from someplace. And the people that do take care of their business, that's not racist, and that does not hold up traffic, we get lumped in with everybody else, and that's what makes it difficult. That's really the nutshell of it. There's a segment of the community that thinks that you're a sellout. If you stand on business and you say, hey, we need to do things the right way, it's not a white thing, it's not a black thing, it's just the right thing to do.
It's just the
And then all of a sudden,
motherfucking thing.
you're a sellout, you get called every single name in the book. They say that you are, I didn't heard it all. I personally heard it all. If you take care of your business, if you speak proper English, you must be white, or you speak white. We gotta talk like this and that, and all of that type of stuff, and we gotta make sure that we can't read. It's funny because when I was coming up, and initially when I was in public school before my father put me in private schools for 2 years during middle school so that I can get my act together, and that's what happens when you have a strong father in your life. Right was wrong and wrong was right. Like, they teased the smart kid. He was problematic, and it wasn't until I went into this environment and I was corrected by the staff, which my parents supported them correcting me, and then they corrected me when I got home. It wasn't until then that they said that, hey, listen, you're not going to tease other people, you're not going to bully, and you're the one that's stupid if you don't get yourself together. And it was around that time, and I didn't really catch all the lessons until after I left that school.
Be honest, that's
facts.
facts.
I did go to a great public school after that. But it wasn't until after that that I realized, wait a minute, we don't all have to be in the same bucket. We don't all have to be in the same space. We all are not alike. And just because we have the same pigmentation in our skin doesn't necessarily mean that I have to act like you do or you. And we can ascend to the top of corporate America. We can build businesses without saying that you got to support a black business. It can be great just based off of great customer service and phenomenal products or whatever that is that you give into the public. But unfortunately, black people that carry themselves with a level of dignity and take care of business, they are labeled as the bad guys. You're not going to get any
Pretty
more
much said we all
backlash.
get lumped
I'm
in the
very glad
same
that white people
boat.
are starting to understand the plight of the rest of us, because we can't go anywhere without somebody saying, me personally,
like
I'll go
fucking
somewhere
up some
and then
shit.
somebody will say, yeah, I'm glad that you're here, I'm glad you're with us. And it's like,
What do you
I'm a
mean?
regular person just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But it always becomes a black thing. Let me hear the rest of what he got to say, and then we'll come back and have this conversation.
Right? There are a lot of whites that just put you all together. And it has slowed down the healing of this country.
It did.
Seriously, 40 years ago, racism should have been over. Unfortunately, the Democratic Party has continued to fan the flames of racism to make money and to get votes. I'm so thankful that a lot of you are waking up to this. And again, I can't stress this enough. This isn't a black thing. This is a behavior thing. Some of my closer friends are black, and I love and appreciate them. And I'm very thankful.
Are you about to laugh because you said he got black friends?
Crappy behavior out of some drug them down. Well, I hope you're having a great day.
And I'll tell you this, there are some crappy white people, there's some crappy black people, but because I'm black, I'm expected to tolerate the behavior of those that is less than stellar. You know, I'm supposed to, I got a security guard inside my building. Every day, this guy, you know, he fails to do his job, he's not on top of things. I'm not going to go too heavy into detail about the different
Go
things.
ahead.
I'm expected to tolerate it just because I'm black and he black, but he's not doing his job, which compromises what I'm able to do on my job because I need security and I need things to be on top of things. So now I have to hire my own private security or take precautions and steps and spend extra money, which we've spent thousands and thousands of dollars making sure that the facility is secure. And there's other people that complain, but they try not to be too much of a complainer because they don't want to be labeled as racist, or they don't want to be labeled as a sellout, or they don't want to be labeled a certain type of way. And it's old. It is. It's really, really old. And at some point, I think that when you get older, you no longer are tolerant and you start to say the things that's really on your mind. And so now this is why you're starting to get, and instead of us, like you're starting to get white people to say it, but instead of us taking it in and saying, you know what, is this true? Is this not true? Is this a reality check? Do we need to change our behavior so that we'll represent ourselves, not other people, not America, yourself, your own family, your own household in a better light? They're now lashing out at white people and black people such as myself saying that I'm a part of the boot. What, I don't know. I have no clue whatsoever. I put on my leg.
Good evening, I'm Eva Pilgrim. Thanks for streaming with us. Day 3 of testimony wrapping up in the federal racketeering and sex trafficking case against Sean Diddy Combs. Cassie Ventura, Sean Combs,
They had to paint the
and the
picture.
prosecution's key witness was back on the stand for a second day with more explicit testimony. She testified more about that now infamous 2016 incident at the hotel, describing the circumstances before, during, and after. Cassie saying Combs beat her as she tried to escape a freak-off that turned violent. Prosecutors also introducing images they allege show damage from a vase Combs threw at Cassie during that attack. She also testified the drug-fueled sex parties eventually turned into pornography shoots, with Combs setting up video equipment for blackmail recordings. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. He faces life in prison if convicted. We have our team of reporters and analysts closely following the case from inside the courtroom. Plus, we're also doing a deep dive.
Life in prison for trafficking.
Related to this high-profile
Well, why do you keep bringing up the freak-offs?
Some of Cassie Ventura's testimony may be
Niggas
difficult.
is having freak-offs right now,
Begin,
probably.
though, with the latest from inside that courtroom, our chief investigative correspondent Aaron Kontursky is outside the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan.
This guy
Aaron,
again.
Cassie Ventura recounted explicit details of these alleged freak-offs, and the reacting to hearing this.
Before we get into the family members' conversation, I gotta ask some questions. Now, I usually see no need to preference something, but I understand the trickiness of cases like this. But that's the first time that I'm hearing that it was hundreds of freak-offs. Now, my stance on this is that after seeing the beating video in that hotel room...
Well, yeah, hundreds, because they're saying all the white
it
parties.
is absolutely an evil, and a freaky man. But we must put into the court of public opinion, hundreds? If you said ones, tens of, maybe even 50, but hundreds? Well, I do believe that Diddy is a monster. Are we saying that she's completely innocent in partaking in hundreds of these things, or she was complicit, at least for some of the time? This was a 10,
like 15.
11-year relationship. At what point can you not just leave? Just walk away. Get out of the situation. But you did hundreds, 400, 500, 600 of these things? Or did you stay continuing to do this for some sort of purpose? Now,
Some
again,
type of
Diddy's
game.
evil, but using your logical brain. Matter of fact, let's do it like this. All of my G's out there right now, go ask the lady in your life right now. Say, hey, babe, if I was doing to you what Diddy was doing to Cassie, would
What would
stay
you do?
with me?
Oh, God. That's nasty.
I have a strong feeling that 99% of these women would say, hell no, absolutely not. Your lady
And then
would
the
not
1% that
be
says it, you
complicit
need to look at her
unless there was
funny.
something else that she could significantly and if not materially gain
Game.
from your ass.
Game.
Now again, Diddy ain't shit. Okay, don't get my words misconstrued. But we're gonna sit here and act like she's 100% innocent within this. I think we can do better than that.
No.
Alex Fine, Cassie Ventura's husband, at one point just looked over at Sean Combs, seemed to glare at him when some of these explicit details come out. Other times, he doesn't even seem to acknowledge him in the courtroom, just looks straight at his wife as if to make sure she is okay. And notably today, Eva, after such graphic testimony from Cassie Ventura about a decade's worth of sexual activity.
They bit the shit out of him, man.
Sean Combs' daughters were not here. There were fewer members of the Combs family.
They walked out. The son stayed, I think.
Interacted with them, mouths "I love you," makes the same gestures he's made for the last couple of days. But some of this testimony clearly has been too much, especially for Combs' daughters.
One of the other things we heard Cassie tell the jury was about her brief relationship with hip-hop star Kid Cudi. What did she say about that?
Ooh. Yeah.
The Kid Cudi shit. Saying he tried to blow up his cars on him.
Racketeering conspiracy that prosecutors have alleged. It was 2011, and Cassie Ventura said she and Sean Combs were not in a good place, so she briefly began dating Kid Cudi, and said that at one point Sean Combs found out after they had a freak-off because he saw her phone, saw some emails that she had written about Kid Cudi, and he became enraged about it and threatened at one point to blow up his car. And Cassie Ventura recalled...
I don't think it was a threat. I think
he wanted
tried
his
to.
friends to be there to watch the car blow up. And one of the racketeering conspiracy acts that Sean Combs is accused of is arson.
We have to note here that Sean Combs' lawyers say that he had nothing to do with that car bomb. Aaron Kontursky there at the courthouse for us. Thank you so much for breaking this all down. And to continue with this, we bring in our ABC News legal contributor and trial attorney Brian Buckmeyer. You were also there in the courtroom again today. So tell me, what do you think of the prosecution? Are they making the link between what Cassie is saying there on the stand and the charges that Diddy is facing?
Now, regards to my earlier comments about her being complicit, if you want to enter in the idea that she stayed for 11 plus years because he's such a violent man and has ties to all of these dangerous people that is willing to do dirty work for him. I am more willing to believe that. There's so many nuances within this case that still have to be talked about before we can draw an official conclusion. Let's go.
Absolutely, and they're beginning to do so. We're going to start off with that top charge of racketeering and just give you a legal definition. I'll break it down in simpler terms. Racketeering is basically when two or more people conspire to commit criminal acts that in furtherance of that criminal enterprise. And so when I'm talking about the links, we hear about the criminal acts that's funneled by the freak-offs, the sexual assault, the videotaping, the threats of violence, is also threats of humiliation, of putting out those videos if Cassie was to say anything. And then we kind of think about the criminal enterprise, right? Today we heard about 13 different escorts and dancers that were hired from different states all across the country. Those are the people who are participating in the freak-offs. And then we heard about some of the damage that comes from them and the harm that follows, as well as Cassie, when she took the stand, she pointed to a photo, not this one exactly, but one of that night where they're wearing the same dress, and said after one of these brutal nights, she had a bruising on her right leg. And she was able to point out in court where she believed that those bruises were. So the defenses definitely have their work cut out for them to the prosecution.
This nigga just showed a bunch of pictures that don't mean shit.
Aaron just mentioned that those explicit
And
images
the damage,
of these
gotta show the
freak-offs.
Vegas.
Cassie's testifying to happen in multiple states and residences.
Painting a
What's their
narrative.
strategy here with all this?
So again, going back to those escorts and dancers, they were from
This
Las Vegas,
picture means
LA,
nothing.
Miami, New York. One of the major reasons why this is a federal case is because they're talking about crossing over state lines, that they themselves went to these different locations or hire these individuals to come to various locations, both domestically and...
So I can't hire a clown without going to jail? You hired them. You paid them, and they acknowledged that they...
and internationally to participate in these alleged freak-offs, and that's where we get a lot of the racketeering.
Pause it and say something, because I ain't got the word. This sounds stupid as fuck.
The transportation to engage in prostitution.
In regard to the racketeering, they're going to have to prove criminal organization, because then what's the difference between this and Sean Combs and maybe
Hiring a clown, nigga.
hiring a bunch of different freaky people to be escorts within the city? They're going to have to prove criminal organization. They're going to have to prove coercion, force. They're going to need multiple people to say that this was against their will. Perhaps break
But
out how
you took
everybody
the
was
money.
paid, the accounting structure. There's a lot more information that is yet to come out.
All right, so how do you think the defense is going to counter the testimony that we've heard so far?
Nigga, you
The interesting
stupid.
thing that the defense is doing is they're trying to make a distinction between sex trafficking and domestic violence. They're saying that it is domestic violence. Sean Combs has done what Tenny Garrigo said in her opening statements.
For
some
sure he has.
indefensible things.
And
But it's not
indefensible.
this.
He's a
It's
piece of
not
shit.
sex trafficking. And one of the things that they point at is that infamous
Is it?
video that we all saw, where they're looking at some of the raw footage. And they're saying that when Sean Combs did this violent assault of Cassie, and they're not denying it, not denying the injuries, that instead, he was doing it to get his cell phone. Now, Cassie testified on the stand that she believes that this is her cell phone, but the way the defense is articulating this is there was violence, there was domestic abuse, there might even been, but it was about jealousy, infidelity, and money. It wasn't about a criminal enterprise. It wasn't about trafficking. That's the argument that they're going to make when cross-examination starts tomorrow of Cassie and going forward in this case.
Brian Buckmeyer, thank you. We'll come back to you in just a bit. Cassie Ventura today again, as we said, detailing that alleged abuse, testifying Sean Combs turned the freak-off videos into blackmail. Combs denies the federal charges. His defense claiming his violent acts are domestic violence, as Brian just said, but not evidence of
guilty of
sex
that.
trafficking and racketeering. But prosecutors have said the jury will hear a similar story from another alleged victim they're calling Jane. Let's bring it.
I understand the court's gonna do what the court's doing, what they're gonna do, and they're doing it right now. But as of now, it don't sound like nothing as big as it should be. Just like when they tried to blow up the whole baby oil thing. They don't even talk about that no more.
And Maria Cruz Melendez, a former federal prosecutor who also served as one of the lead prosecutors in the case against R. Kelly. Maria, thank you so much for being here. Let's get right to this. What
Yeah,
is the government
please.
trying to establish here with Cassie's testimony?
Essentially, the government is trying to establish a pattern of abuse. And the reason this is important is because at the end of the day, each one of these charges will hinge on whether or not they can show that Sean Combs essentially overcame Cassandra Ventura's will. So whether or not there was coercive control that resulted in her staying. And at the end of the day, with regard to racketeering, with regard to forced labor, sex trafficking, and even the transportation of prostitution, getting from her mouth exactly what happened to her is key. And I think at the end of the day, as previously mentioned, having other individuals who can testify to what they saw as well, and also that this type of conduct happened to other individuals is going to be really important in establishing the pattern of racketeering that the government has alleged here.
And to that point that you just raised, Cassie testified today that she saw Diddy inflict violence on others. Why does that matter here?
Because they're going to try to have more witnesses. Try to make it seem like it's repetitive. Happened this was this, whatever. He made me do it.
The reason that's important is because of this distinction that defense counsel is trying to make at this point, that this is simply about domestic violence.
Yeah.
That it's about what happened between Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura. But once you've
Nah, because you talking about life in prison. If found guilty. This ain't just about domestic violence. What the fuck you mean?
brought in other victims, once you brought in the fact that violence may have been perpetrated against staff, against assistants, against other individuals who felt that they also had to assist Combs in the crimes that have been alleged by the government, then you're getting closer to establishing not only an enterprise, but that there's in fact been a pattern of racketeering.
So they basically, he already guilty in this sense. They're going to make it happen.
Also for racketeering and sex trafficking. So you know what it takes to go up against a powerful, wealthy defendant. What are the similarities and the differences that
R.
you
Kelly
see?
was dealing with kids. We was like, you can have that nigga.
Similarities. At the end of the day, we have a high-profile defendant. We have that in both cases. We have a situation in which allegations included coercive control, taking individuals under their wing, using that as a form of control, using physical abuse, psychological abuse, and other forms.
Psychological abuse.
Statement in the R. Kelly case,
Anybody
I talked
with a
about
phone
the,
getting psychologically abused.
and using all those types of methods in order to control individuals. I think some of the differences, of course, that you see is that in the
Was he controlling them? Excuse me, was he controlling them, or what did they out for game? Stupid. It sounds stupid.
R. Kelly case, a
It sounds
number of
stupid.
our victims, the majority of our victims, were minors.
Oh,
Here
yeah,
you have a
that's right.
situation in which that's not the case, and I think that distinction can sometimes make a difference if you
That's a
need to
big-
convince a jury that a successful adult woman was controlled by
Right.
someone like Sean Combs.
Right.
And that takes us back to this pattern, understanding all of the abuse that has been alleged and that Cassie Ventura has been testifying to, and how that overcame her will such that she was unable to leave, to say no, and in fact had to do everything that Combs told her to do.
Long story short, it's far difficult within this case because Cassie wasn't a minor, which would denote that she would not have control of her actions. The super interesting components within this case, and I think that the defense is doing a relatively good job in structuring what is domestic violence versus what is RICO. Is the defendant a liar, a cheater, a controller, predacious on beautiful women that he wants to join his S parties or his freak-offs? Does he hit women? Is he just flatly a piece of shit? Yes, they're saying all of that, yes. Nobody is denying
Right.
any of that. But really the question is, how complicit were the people around him within this situation, and did he operate under an enterprise or a structure of members and hierarchy and with power, control? I think it's gonna get really interesting coming in the next several days. I want them to interview, right? Like if they found someone like within the police system that was helping them pull strings, right? If they find out that some person that he employed worked at the hotel and they got that video scrub, or at least thought that he got that video scrub, right? There would have to be closer ties linking him to a criminal organization. Last but not least, guys, leave me your comments down below. Do you agree with the things that I've said within this video?
This nigga flew. Fucking hate the architect.
Have you ever heard of fifth generation warfare?
So as you come back down to Earth, what is that? What are you scanning the universe for?
Oh, ain't no universe.
Ain't no universe.
No, I'm gonna tell you how I know, right? Because they told you universe, and they told you that they figured it out with numbers, right? That's what they told you. They said they figured out the universe using numbers. But how? How can you figure out a creation with a creation from a creation? It don't make sense. They can stop now. So everybody trying to figure out the universe with numbers, they might as well stop. Because you can't figure it out with numbers. There's a lot of people don't know.
Real nigga radio.
Dang, well, I'll tell you about all that clapping. When you told me it was a track last time, listen, you tricked me. Not again. That's y'all. I see ya. When I open my eyes, I see y'all clapping.
Well, I got a question. What is it that you do that you're doing before you interview? What is that you're doing? It's like you go to a different place.
I talk to God. But not God. I don't like to say God. It's kind of disrespectful. It's disrespectful when you call him God. I talk to him.
Right. And so what does it prepare you for an interview or?
Okay. Come on, man.
Don't play with me.
Next question.
mean, yeah, we about to go through
Yeah,
that.
he crazy. He asked me what talk to God for. Do he perfect? He's perfect for life. What is he talking about? Do he perfect for an interview? Come on, gang. How y'all questions together?
You know,
Why you trying to play with me?
Now let's do it like this because
Come on,
you know,
come
when
on. Ask what do God purge you for everything.
No,
So what are you talking about?
You said God and the devil's the same person.
Yeah.
So when you talk to God, I mean you're talking to the devil too.
I mean, I don't talk to that God. See, that's why I say I want to make sure we got to understand it. You can talk to that God, but that God is Indian you. Let me tell you what I mean, right? You pray to him, it's good, but then you take it back. You go to church, you take it back. That's what I'm about. He's Indian you. It never stay the same.
That's
how
what my
you
mama.
kind of like, no, he ain't God. But then what kind of God got to tell you he God? If he was God, you would kind of like, no. He wants you to worship him all day, right? Jesus came, right? And he came and he went to hell. Remember that?
Yes.
I'm going to heaven to free them. Because they tired of singing hallelujah, praise the Lord.
Hold on,
Stop
wait.
playing with me. Yeah, I'm going to heaven to free the people in heaven. Stop playing. They don't want to be in there.
Wait, you said Jesus went to hell?
Yeah, he went to hell.
You just caught
He
that?
went to hell to get Sophia. Yeah, she got hell.
When people, because you know we got a lot of Christians that watch this show, a lot of
Yeah, fuck Christians. Christians stole that religion. That's a stolen religion. They stole it in 400 AD. Yeah, that's what I want. Look it up. They stole it for just Gnosticism.
Can we fact check that? Anybody?
Fact check.
Anybody?
It's stolen in 400 AD.
Google.
They stole it. You ain't gonna find it on Google.
Siri?
Oh, yeah.
Slavery giving us.
I told you we weren't slaves last time. Stop playing on me. We never was slaves. Listen, we never was slaves, and we never was apes and shit neither. Because it make sense. Because we was apes and how the fuck we was the pyramid?
Oh shit.
They ain't got the tools and the shit that can lift them now. Maybe we was apes that lift. Yeah, we was lifting apes. yeah, we was stone lifting apes.
Well, hold on, wait. We gotta take this one at a time. Slavery wasn't.
Slavery wasn't real.
Was it?
It's a trick, right? This is what happened, right? You was really like. I don't like to say this, right? I hate telling people who they are because they gonna start acting like, right? You were really kind of like a god, right? And like you was giving, and you was nice, right? You was really good. And one thing, this what Columbus said, right? Check Columbus. Everybody look this up. Columbus said, I met these people. And these people, they so nice. They give you everything. You know, they skin shine. They give you everything. Anything you ask for, they give everything freely. These are good people we can take over and kill and destroy. That's what Columbus said. Yeah.
Rape and pillage?
Yeah, Columbus said that. Yeah, but they think the Indians were Indians, but the Indians was black. That's a lot of people don't know. But they think they're Indian. I don't know.
So wait, who had it worse?
Yeah, they was black.
Who had it worse, the Indians or the blacks? Who had it worse when it comes to?
They the same. Listen, they're the same. People don't know how they the same. Listen, so blacks was everywhere. You don't know that. Well, I'm gonna say black, but I'm gonna say black because you said black. But they was everywhere. Yeah. Somehow they ended up in Spain, and they ruled Spain for a long time. And they were having kids, and they call it Spanish. And then you think they're Mexicans, but they're not Mexicans. They from Morocco, because Morocco and Africa.
Google?
Anybody? Yeah, look it up. Look it up.
Siri?
Look it up. Yeah, a lot of people don't know.
Siri?
All right.
Shut up,
so
nigga.
when it comes, you make it sound like the white man is the worst man. Oh, shut up, Michael. That sound like Michael was a Pied Piper. He called me shit. Okay. All right, so as you come back down to Earth.
What is that? What are you scanning the universe for?
Oh, ain't no universe.
Ain't no universe.
No, I'm gonna tell you how I know, right? Because they told you the universe, and they told you that they figured it out with numbers, right?
All right, I think I might be straight because this shit ain't moving.
But how? How can you figure out a creation with a creation from a creation?